May 13th, 1593. A tavern in Deptford, just outside London. By the end of the day, Christopher Marlowe will be dead, stabbed above the right eye, in a room with 3 other men, all of them, it turns out, connected to the Elizabethan Secret Service. The official story: a fight over the bill. Almost nobody who has studied the case believes that's the whole story. This is the story of the man some scholars think may have been a greater playwright than Shakespeare, and the mystery that swallowed him at 29. Here's the detail that makes this story impossible to ignore. Christopher Marlowe was born in 1564, the same year as William Shakespeare. Marlowe came first into the stage, first into fame. While Shakespeare was still an unknown actor from Stratford, Marlowe was already the most celebrated playwright in London. He wasn't born into privilege. His father was a shoemaker in Canterbury, but Marlowe was clever enough to win a scholarship, first to the King's School, then to Corpus Christi College, Cambridge. This detail matters because it's one of the sharpest contrasts between Marlowe and Shakespeare. Marlowe had a university education, Shakespeare never did. In Marlowe's own lifetime, that gap wasn't trivial. It was the difference between being seen as a serious man of letters and being, as one rival playwright later sneered at Shakespeare, an upstart crow. But even at Cambridge, something strange was happening. Marlowe kept disappearing. For weeks at a time, he'd vanished from college records, then reappear, offering no explanations. The university almost refused to grant him his degree until, according to surviving Privy Council documents, an order came from the Queen's own government instructing Cambridge to give Marlowe his degree and to stop asking questions about his absences, because he had been doing good service to the Queen. Good service. That's the phrase in the actual historical record. Nobody has ever definitely proven what that service was, but most historians agree on the likely answer. Espionage. Elizabethan England ran one of the most effective intelligence networks in Europe, built by Sir Francis Walsingham, the Queen's spy master. Its job: hunt down Catholic plots against the Protestant Queen. The evidence connecting Marlowe to this world isn't a smoking gun. It's a pattern. His unexplained absences from Cambridge. Later, sightings of him in the Netherlands. A hotspot for espionage and counter-espionage. His close ties to men who were confirmed intelligence operatives, and later, the fact that all 3 men in the room when he died had links to government intelligence work. Was Marlowe actually a spy? We can't say it with total certainty, but it's the leading theory among historians, and it explains something that otherwise seems bizarre. How a poor shoemaker's son moved so easily among the most dangerous political circles in England. Before Marlowe, English plays were mostly stiff, rhyming, and forgettable. Marlowe changed that with a single technical innovation. He took blank verse, unrhymed lines of iambic pentameter, and turned it into something that could roar. Critics call it Marlowe's mighty line. Big, driving, unrhymed verse that could carry ambition, cruelty, and grandeur. Shakespeare would go on to use exactly this technique for the rest of his career. Many scholars believe he learned it directly from watching Marlowe's plays. Let's talk about what Marlowe actually wrote. Tamburlaine the Great. His first major hit, a two-part epic about a shepherd who conquers half the known world through sheer ruthless will. Audiences had never heard language like this on an English stage. Violent, intoxicated with power, almost frighteningly ambitious. The Tragical History of Dr. Faustus. Probably his masterpiece. A brilliant scholar, bored with the limits of ordinary knowledge, sells his soul to the devil in exchange for 24 years of unlimited power. This is decades before Gotay's famous version of the same legend. Marlowe's Faustus isn't a simple morality tale. It is genuinely unclear, even now, whether the play is condemning ambition or seduced by it. That ambiguity is very Marlowe. The Jew of Malta, a dark, savage satire that scholars widely believe directly influenced Shakespeare's The Merchant of Venice. Edward II, a history play about a weak, doomed king, notable for being remarkably sympathetic, even tender, in a period when that subject matter and that portrayal was genuinely dangerous to write. Across all of these plays, one theme keeps returning: men who want too much. Power, knowledge, glory, control. Marlowe's heroes reach for something beyond human limits. And the plays ask over and over whether that reaching is glorious or a kind of self-destruction. It's hard not to notice how much that theme resembles his own life. In the spring of 1593, things started to unravel. A government informant named Richard Baines submitted a formal note to the authorities accusing Marlowe of atheism and blasphemy, allegedly claiming Marlowe had said Moses was a fraud and made mocking remarks about Christ. In Elizabethan England, this wasn't just controversial opinion. Atheism was treated as a crime against the state because the church and the crown refused together. To deny God was, in effect, to attack the Queen's authority. It could mean torture, it could mean execution. On May 20th, 1593, Marlowe was summoned before the Privy Council. He wasn't jailed, he was released, on condition that he report daily. Historians still debate why he wasn't immediately imprisoned, given the severity of the accusation. And 10 days later, he was dead. Let's go back to where we started. May 13th, 1593. A room above a tavern in Deptford, run by a widow named Eleanor Bull. Four men spend the day together. Christopher Marlowe, and 3 others: Ingram Fraser, Nicholas Scaris, and Robert Poley. All 3 had documented ties to government intelligence work. Poley, in particular, was a known professional spy. According to the inquest, the 4 men had dinner, then walked in the garden, then returned to the room. At some point, an argument broke out over who would pay the bill. The reckoning. Fraser and Marlowe allegedly fought over a dagger. In the struggle, Marlowe was stabbed just above the right eye and died almost instantly. Fraser claimed self-defense. He was pardoned within a month. That's the official record, and maybe it's exactly what happened. Men drinking, tempers rising, a stupid fight over money that ended in tragedy. But historians never fully accepted it, for one simple reason. It's very hard to believe that 3 men connected to the intelligence services just happened to be in a room with a playwright who 10 days earlier had been formally accused of a capital religious crime, and that descended by pure coincidence in his death. The competing theories range widely: that Marlowe was assassinated to silence him before he could implicate powerful men under torture, that the atheism charges were themselves part of a political move against his patron, Sir Walter Raleigh, even at the far edge of speculation that Marlowe faked his own death and escaped abroad. That last one is almost certainly just a legend, but it hasn't stopped some fringe theorists from proposing something even stranger: that Marlowe didn't die at all, and secretly went on writing under the name William Shakespeare. There is no credible scholarly evidence for this. Almost every serious Marlowe and Shakespeare scholar rejects it. But it tells you something about how large Marlowe's shadow still is, that people would rather believe he faked his death than that a talent like his simply ended in a rented room over an argument about money. Christopher Marlowe was 29 years old when he died. Shakespeare was the same age, at the same moment, and had barely begun the work that would make him immortal. We'll never know what Marlowe would have written next. Whether he would have matched Shakespeare, or surpassed him, or faded, as so many brilliant young writers do. What we do know is that without Marlowe's mighty line, without Tamburlaine, without Dr. Faustus, English drama, and quite possibly Shakespeare himself would look very different.